Good morning. Welcome to the May 7th, 2026 Public Works Committee meeting. Today I have Councilmember Eileen Swartout, Councilmember Kelly Van Holtz, and myself all present for today's meeting. Are there any changes to the agenda? No changes. We're all good to go. So the first item on the agenda today is the interlocal agreement with the City of Olympia, City of Lacey, and Thurston County for implementing the South Sound Green Program with Water Resources and the Sustainability Department. Take it away.
I'm just checking in to see if grant's available for us right now. Why don't we move to item number 4, Canopy Equity Program with Brian.
Okay, so we are ready for number 4. So Brian, since you're ready, let's go ahead and do that.
Good morning. How's everyone doing?
Good to go. We're happy. Weather is nice.
Go ahead and share my screen. Okay, can everyone see my presentation okay?
Yes.
Perfect. Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Brian Coughlin. I'm the urban forester for the city of Tumwater, and I was want to share our tree canopy equity program with you today. It's a very exciting program that I'm excited to talk to you about. So first off, let's talk about what tree canopy equity is. My job is kind of directed through the urban forest management plan. It's a very large document if you haven't had time to look at it. There are hundreds of actions in it that kind of steer my position and what I try to divide my time between to really kind of push forward management of trees we have in Tumwater. And I cite right below that, you see action 1.1A, the very first action of the urban forest management plan is to increase canopy cover in the city to expand the community urban forest. So right off the bat, the very first thing we need to do is expand our canopy coverage. And you can kind of see the current state of the canopy. In 2019, we had an assessment done, and we had 49% of our city was covered in tree canopy. That's remarkable. In 2025, you see that number dipped down to 38%. That's still a pretty good number to provide context. The kind of the magic number you want for a city is around 30%. However, we do have a lot more development happening. We have a lot more trees being removed, and that number is probably going to go down again before it starts going up. So the whole goal of this program and other programs that we'll get to later in the presentation is to begin planting trees to give us those benefits, because we won't see them for, I don't know, maybe another 10 years or so, is when a tree truly begins to provide benefits for the community. This program is targeting single family residential areas as they are the largest landowners in the city of Tumwater. So we want to target homeowners in areas that don't have trees. We want to give them a tree so they can help their community and they can help the city out as a whole maintain these levels of canopy coverage to provide us maximum benefits. So we have a river network grant that we've received. And so this whole program is being grant funded. I took just a simple screenshot of milestone 3, which is what we're talking about today. But milestone 1 was to hang ambient air temperature sensors all over the city so we could real-time monitor how hot areas are in town that have a lot of tree canopy coverage and how hot areas are in town that don't have very good tree canopy coverage. Milestone 2 was to hire an urban forester. We've done that as well. I was hired about a year ago. And so milestone 3, we're moving forward with this grant, is to launch or plan to launch a canopy equity program. And the whole goal of this is to go out to disadvantaged communities, communities that have urban heat island index concerns, so neighborhoods that don't have a whole lot of trees that are hotter because of that, and help them get the resources they need to really kind of ease the burden, both financially and make it more comfortable.
Brian, I have a question for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what neighborhoods are we talking about? I know with the preserve, you know how they had to bulldoze all those trees to make that development.
Mhm.
So Are you talking about that, or do you have specific areas you're going to show us?
Yes, absolutely. That's coming right up.
Okay.
I have one neighborhood that I'm targeting this year, and we have another neighborhood next year. And so the next slide, we have our actual ambient air temperatures. We have the map of the city of Tumwater, and this is where we have the sensors hung up. I just wanted to kind of provide context on the difference in areas we have in Tumwater that have trees versus those that don't. You can see Countryside has wonderful, it's one of our neighborhoods over off 70th Avenue, has wonderful tree canopy coverage. And on the hottest day we had last year, at the hottest time, it never got over 92 degrees. That same time, same day at Bush Middle School, it was 110 degrees. That's a pretty big difference, just because one neighborhood has trees and one area doesn't have trees. Um, Tumwater Hill is typically the coolest area we have in town. I put one up there just because it gets a little bit breeze off the Puget Sound still, and that's historically been one of the cooler areas we have in town. But Countryside is always right there next to it and has wonderful canopy coverage versus areas around town that don't. So that leads to answer your question, Councilmember Jefferson. This is the first neighborhood we are going to target. It's called Furland Estates. It's over next to us at SPSCC. It has 97 homes. It has very low canopy coverage. It has hotter temperatures. It is, you'll see the maps coming in the next slides. It's been mapped as a disadvantaged community. It was built roughly in the mid 90s. A lot of the trees that were there have been removed over the years. They probably weren't planted correctly. They weren't the right tree for the right place. And we want to go door to door in that neighborhood and kind of help them address this. So this is a map that we received with the grant from the River Network, and these are the areas you can see here are areas they want us to target. Furland Estates is right over here, so it's right in one of the places they want us to go to. Um, this is a screenshot of the heat island index concern. So you can see we have some extreme and severe and very severe temperatures in this neighborhood because it has no relief. It's been paved over. It's all those houses are absorbing heat, radiating heat. There is no really good shade provided. So it's checking off that box as well. This is an income disparity map. Furland Estates is right in here. You can see this neighborhood just needs a little relief and a little bit of help. And we made this decision based off of a lot of different categories. We want to make sure we were using these resources as appropriately as possible. So, and then next, this map is not very good. You'll have to forgive me, but it's important. Back in 2024, we had a consulting group do a bunch of survey and estimations for us, and this is one of the maps they gave us with priority planting sites. And Furland Estates is right in here, and that's a high ranked area for us to begin to plant trees to get maximum benefits for. So we now know we have a neighborhood we want to target. It checks all the boxes. It needs the most help. How are we going to go about this? It's as simple as going door to door. I'm going to knock on every single door's house. We have flyers available. I'm going to talk to every homeowner that I can. And we have 4 different tree species that we're going to recommend, finding the right tree for the right place. These trees all have different wonderful attributes. Some are large, some are small, some are conifers, some are deciduous. We'll talk to the homeowner and try to get the right tree for them. And then we're going to invite them to a workshop. We want them to see us plant a tree correctly, and we're going to be asking them to do stuff they might not have ever heard of before, like using mycorrhizae. It's a fungus that helps sustain root systems and moisture so the trees don't need as much water. We're also going to give them a water bag. Maybe they've never used one before. It's a bag you zip to the base of a tree and you fill it up once a week with 5 to 6 gallons of water. And that's what we're going to ask them to do. And then lastly, if people agree and they come to the workshop, they register for us, we'll coordinate with them to either deliver the trees or have them come pick it up. We don't want the ability to get the tree to be the reason why they don't want to do it. And the reason we're going through all these steps is we really want the community to buy into this. We don't want to just drop a tree off and then hope they plant it right, and then they don't want it, or something like that. And by having these steps and really encouraging them to come in to participate, hopefully we will get the right tree in the right place to get the best benefits. Trees are a generational decision. You plant a tree, it's going to be there for a very, very long time. We want to encourage that, and we really want them to buy in and understand that. So I thought I would provide pictures of all the different trees. These are the ones we're talking about providing, and I've talked to local vendors, and these are all going to be easy to source. They're common trees. They're going to do really well here. And then I also wanted to highlight other things we have going on because I don't want you to think that this is the one plan we have to increase canopy across the state of Tumwater. This is just one of many different things that we're working on. So this last year, I began a pretty, I plan on making it more aggressive tree planting program. So I planted 480 seedlings in these 3 different locations around town. We own a lot of property in Tumwater. We have a lot of undevelopable properties. And the goal is to expand that number from 480 because this is just my first year. And I just kind of wanted to see how it was going to go. We're going to start doing thousands next year. It went very well this year. It went really well. And we're going to expand those numbers as much as we can. Next, we're out in the community educating people on sidewalk repair and tree retention. So if a tree is damaging the sidewalk, oftentimes the idea is to cut the tree down, rip everything out, replace everything. There are other options available to save the trees that we currently have. We also are developing a unique tree program. I haven't really worked on the phrasing of that. You'll have to forgive me, but it's the goal of that is to find trees that used to be here that are no longer really around. So native trees that have been, over harvested or stuff like that, and we can find them and plant them in our city parks to
Brian, I have a
yeah.
question for you. I definitely see some education potential here. So, are you working with our communications manager? Say, for example, you were talking about that workshop on the different trees and showing them how to use the water bag. Have you thought about a recording? So, our communications manager recording just that and putting it out on YouTube, not just for us, but our surrounding communities. I would recommend that.
Yeah, thank you. And I do work with them, and we have done some videos.
Mhm.
And they've helped me develop the flyers for this project. Like everybody's has kind of bought in
Oh,
within the city for this project. I'm working with the parks department, our communications department, and all these different people. And that's a wonderful idea.
yeah,
For these, especially for these larger trees, they can be
yeah,
much more difficult.
right.
So,
And and then I was thinking, and then you have to strategically plant them because otherwise they're going to bust up the sidewalks, right?
mhm.
So
Yeah.
so definitely some education in that part. But I like it.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. I like.
Yeah, I do too. So yeah, the unique tree program, just to highlight, for example, there's a tree that used to be around here called the limber pine. I have not seen one in Tumwater. It used to be very common in our area. And so they're around though. You can buy them, and I'd like to start buying these trees and putting them in places so we can educate the public on the values of them, and they're also native. We also are beginning the foundations for a food forest. We don't need to go into too many details. We don't have a whole lot yet, but that's another big action to increase canopy and also provide equity benefits for the community. And then lastly, we have updated our planting specifications. So we are ensuring the survivability of these trees by contractors. Contractors oftentimes like to just, put a tree in the ground, cover it in dirt and walk away. And we have updated these specifications to make sure that the tree is planted properly and it won't damage sidewalks, it won't damage itself, it won't do all these different things. And then I'm out looking and verifying that these trees were planted correctly. And we are out communicating with residents often. Anytime somebody submits a tree removal waiver or a land clearing exemption, and those are the permits to remove trees, I go and I talk to them. I ask them why they want to cut the tree down. Do they really need to cut the tree down? What are their concerns? And maybe we can find alternatives to save the tree or whatnot. But I just like to go out and have a conversation to figure out what their thoughts and their goals are. And then lastly, we're currently working on a tree inventory. And we are mapping out all the currently right now, actually the intern's out doing it as we speak. We are mapping all the city owned and maintained trees. And this data is going to help us understand a lot of different things. We're going to be able to understand the health of our urban forest. We're going to understand what we have, where it is, how much of what we have. Is it damaging the sidewalk? Are the roots damaged? All these different data points we're tracking. And it's really going to help us give us real-time data to make more educated decisions. So that was a lot of information there at the end, but I just wanted to paint a picture that we're not just doing this one thing, we're doing lots of other things that all complement each other. So are there any questions for me?
Councilmember Swarthout, Van Holtz, any questions?
Yes,
No
I do. I have a lot of questions.
Go ahead.
Okay, so funny, I used to live in Furland Estates. So that
That's
was
great.
the first home that I purchased was in that neighborhood. And so, yeah, they cut down well, the whole thing was, anyway. So the developer that, he had this idea that he wanted the cherry blossoms to bloom. So that was his
Yeah.
vision in the springtime, that all the cherry trees would be blooming so we all had cherry trees. And so that was his vision for the streets. My concern is the size of the trees, the size of the lots. The trees eventually are going to be really large, especially those Bruce. All the ones you showed are going to be very large, and those are very small lots. And so, just looking at that, having concern about the size of the trees, and then I also live in the subdivision that's up the street in the condominium association there. That we have trees that are just absolutely interfering with our sidewalks, and so as an association too, to have. What do we do as far as, because we literally should probably cut down all those trees and replace them because they have already raised the sidewalks. So how do you work with, because I know Streamland Estates went through and cut down a number of trees. They're a single family, they're over there, where Streamland Estates is. Their HOA
absolutely.
cut down a number of trees. Same thing over in like Sundrop, that subdivision too had an issue and cut down lots of trees because of the sidewalk issues and raising the sidewalk. So much education, and how do we get out there to make sure we really need help, and then figure out what to do as far as putting the right tree in there. So
Yeah, no, I understand entirely. And to address your question about the size of the trees, is two of the trees are larger species and the two are smaller. So for the smaller, the ginkgo doesn't get as big and the Alaskan cedar doesn't get as big, the variety we're going to get. If they do have a large lot, then we hopefully can convince them to plant a big tree, because big trees provide the best benefits.
Yeah.
So, but to address the sidewalks, it's a much more complicated, longer discussion. I'm happy to sit down with you when we have some more time. There are some other neighborhoods, HOAs in the community that are exploring these options, are getting bids for this alternative work. And then we too at the city are starting to explore these options for certain things. And so if you'd like to set aside more time, that's a very long conversation. So.
Yeah, because we went out when we did the whole mapping. When originally we went around and wrapped our hands around trees and did the whole mapping thing over. Kind of think where we were off of Kursop or someplace out there that, they were all Norwegian maples, and everybody planted the same kind of tree, and they were all, it's just, and then some people don't want trees. I mean, that's the thing
Exactly.
is that, they get too big and everybody just cuts them down. So,
And
that's a big discussion. So to have, I miss my tree, the one, because I ended up with it on my house. It decided to give up its life in January. And so, I miss the shade. I really do. It's made a huge difference on my house. So.
And that's why we want to reach out to these people so they understand the benefits. And if you have good canopy coverage, you're going to be using 25 to 40% less air conditioning. Those are real things that you can do. And the trees are real assets that do provide financial gains as well. And just making sure everyone's aware and how to figure these things out. So
I think education is going to be the biggest piece of it, is that they, the hassle of having a tree in their yard, they see it as a hassle. So that we're going to, you'll have your work cut out for you. So.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I really appreciate your work, though. We do. The tree does. We need more trees, and I appreciate that. So
and you saw the data. On the hottest day at the hottest time, there was an 18-degree difference across the town in areas that have trees versus areas that don't. And that's a pretty remarkable number.
I can testify to that after losing my tree. What a difference last summer was. So not having that shade. So thank you, Brian.
Yeah. Are there any other questions I can answer?
Councilmember Von Holtz, any questions?
I don't have any questions, but I am really excited about this opportunity, that you're doing great work in just a short amount of time.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
And there was that post on Facebook and I was like, oh, looks like my neighborhood. And it was my neighborhood. So
Oh, okay.
you met with my HOA president. So I thought that was pretty funny because
Okay.
we do have a lot of trees and we have some sidewalks that are popping up. But I agree with both council members, Jefferson and Swarthout, that this is an education thing. And think about when we had a few years ago that 116-degree day and
Mhm.
what a difference 18 degrees makes for the folks that don't have a tree canopy. And those days are probably going to become more common than not, unfortunately.
Exactly.
So,
That's why the best time is now to plan. And we're
right.
really having a multi-pronged approach to plant as much as we can, especially even in the targeted areas, to really set Tumwater up for the best success we can moving forward. These trees provide, again, enormous benefits that we're just now beginning to really understand. So, yeah, thank you all very much for your time. I very much appreciate it.
Okay, Brian, hold up. It says the recommended action is no action requested. This is an opportunity for discussion on the topic.
Hmm.
I want to give you the opportunity, or I recommend that we take this to either a work session for, the information that you have here to go to all the council members, because I can see Joan Kathy just lighting up with this. And
Okay.
or to put it on council consideration. So what's your recommendation, fellow council members?
I think it would be great for a presentation during a work session or even during a council meeting,
Right.
just so the community, then we start
Yeah,
talking.
yeah,
Okay.
that's true. That might be a good thing for consideration, just
Right.
so that our community
Right.
sees
Right.
how we're addressing,
Right.
and
For wider discussion, wider communications. So can I have a motion for that, please?
Is Brian up for it? You want to come to
Course,
council?
of course. Yeah.
You want to come meet
As you
Council
wish.
Brian?
I love talking about trees. I will absolutely do it. Yeah.
Okay, so I'd like to make a motion that our urban forester bring his presentation on the on the tree canopy equity program to a future council meeting.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you very much, Brian. Looking forward to seeing you at the council.
I appreciate it again, and thank you all for your time.
Okay, so the second item on the agenda, are we ready for the interlocal agreement with the city of Olympia, Lacey, and Thurston County?
I think we're ready this time. Yeah, sorry about that. I had some wonderful technical issues, as we all just love. So
That's okay, Grant.
yeah,
Go
thank you. Appreciate the patience. Let me get my presentation up for you all. And I'm on one screen, so I'm going to, hopefully I'll be able to see some of you. Let's see. Let me know if that's come up for you. Can you all see that? We'll go back here. Can everybody see that? Okay, good. All right. Well, this is a topic that plays well off of Brian's presentation, but it's planting seeds in our community in other ways. So I'm very happy to present this today. So yes, so today we're looking at the interlocal agreement with the city of Olympia, Lacey, and Thurston County for the implementation of the South Sound Green program. And I'll go into a little bit more about that. The direct policy support that this program includes is primarily directed at the MPDS permit. We're a phase 2 MPDS permittee, and it addresses stormwater pollution prevention education, which is a required deliverable to meet one of the regulated items identified in section S5.C, public education. And so we do this and many other things, as some of you already know, but this is a key component in that, which I'll elaborate on here in a minute. So a little bit more about the background is that South Sound Green is implemented by the Thurston Conservation District. They're a key partner in our region for more than just education or outreach. We actually do a lot of watershed management improvement through projects as well. It provides water quality education aimed at middle school students for the Tumwater School District and its regional partners. So they just to clarify, they do engage with everybody else in a similar capacity. Work is coordinated and managed in part through the Water Resources and Sustainability Department and the Regional Environmental Education Partnership, which you will also be seeing in the coming sessions for another contract. Just to clarify, REAP also manages Stream Team, and I'm going to kind of draw a direct correlation to how this all integrates together. The goal of the contract is to meet the city's education outreach obligations, again, identified in the NPDES permit. So when we look at our strategy as a city overall, we've got a very comprehensive approach to pathways to careers in the STEM categories. You'll see here we've got early middle school, late middle school, and then high school implementation. South Sound Green is really one of the first components of education that we work with to address water quality standards and education for middle school students. That then later leads into the Green Congress, which is an annual event. It's a regional event where students who participated in water quality testing throughout the districts gather at what's been in the past Evergreen State College, and they do presentations on water quality parameters right here within our own stream systems. So there are select areas. If you ever have a chance to participate in a Green Congress, it's really amazing at the outcomes, and that's a direct byproduct of the South Sound Green program. I'll talk a little bit more about it. I've got some pictures, and I'll share a little bit more about the excitement behind this program and kind of where it relates. But to give you a sense, I've had the privilege of really seeing these kids move through our education system. I've been integrated now for 4 years in the city working on this initiative. And just so we don't forget, coming out of the pandemic, most of these programs had been basically shelved. There was no movement on this, or very little movement during the pandemic, and then post-pandemic, we all ramped up. Prior to the pandemic, the Tumwater School District had very little basically action with the South Sound Green program. And then after pandemic, we really ramped up. The city was the broker and the facilitator in really strengthening that relationship and integrating these kinds of programs into the classroom. So very proud of that work. And then now we've taken it many steps further. Hopefully you've heard of our First Green program down at the Tumwater Valley Golf Course. So the amazing thing is that I am seeing students now coming out of their early middle school into late middle school years, and it's incredible how much information they have obtained from the South Sound Green program, and they're now bringing to the First Green program as it relates to reclaimed water, water conservation, and water quality overall. The students that I get to integrate with and connect with have memorable experiences from these educational opportunities. And I would say that the South Sound region, because of this regional effort, has some of the most advanced kids I have ever come across when it comes to water quality and their understanding of the science behind it. It really is mind-blowing at times. From there, we have worked with the school district and the Pacific Education Institute to implement the Forest and Stream Ecology and Water Resource Management summer programs. That is a CTE, Career and Technical Education program. That is for the select group of students. They only take 32 students total. We're moving into our 3rd year for Water Resource Management and our 4th year for Forest and Stream Ecology. And a lot of these kids who really get influenced with the dream of becoming an environmental scientist or an engineer move into these more advanced programs as juniors and seniors. And so, the city has really been at the heart of building this Pathways program for the school district and its partners, all of which we help facilitate and foster those relationships.
So Grant, I have a
Yeah.
question.
Yeah.
So, are you expanding this program from Tumwater to Lacey and Olympia?
Yeah, so that's a great question. It actually already exists in the
Okay.
region. Yeah, so basically Lacey, Olympia, and Thurston County all engage, and it all falls under the management of the Regional Environmental Education Partnership. And so the coordinators, I'm the coordinator for the city of Tumwater,
Mhm.
and coordinators from the other jurisdictions. We are the ones working with Thurston Conservation District to ensure that the facilitation with our school districts and our teachers is occurring efficiently, and that we're getting maximum reach into our communities, so that all students have access to this type of education. And there's a whole nother component to this, which basically plays into the equity strategy, and this is a huge equity component to ensuring that students of all throughout our community are able to engage in this type of education. So it's a powerful program, and I think our alignment with the school district is the strongest it's ever been.
Good.
It's
That's good to hear.
incredible. Yeah. The underpinning to this, of course, too, as you'll see down below, is Stream Team. Stream Team touches the lives of kids from the very early ages all the way up to the grandparents, right? And the great thing is that Stream Team is a mechanism in which these students can engage in volunteerism, and they're required to get a certain amount of volunteer hours, as well as participate in real hands-on science that basically teaches them, real scientific methodology for data collection, and of course, opens opportunities for workshops and to get involved in some of the restoration activities. And I'm proud to say that Tumwater has one of the strongest restoration programs across the region. Our Sap Road Park restoration, Second Saturday, has been an anchoring for the restoration initiatives for Stream Team, and it's one of the most participated restoration events in the region. And I'll be happy to share that information through our annual report here, which has just been released. So we'll make sure that you all get a copy of that. So again, just to reiterate, South Sound Green, this particular program is really the start and the foundation for really getting that water quality education into the minds of students. And it's also an incredible relationship component for how the city supports our teachers. And that's another huge piece of this. So again, the learning objectives behind this program, it's basically human actions within the watershed is a major focus. That's why it aligns really well with our stormwater programming deliverables. Stormwater pollution is a surface runoff issue primarily. Of course, there's a lot of groundwater education and conservation components that come with this. But they have to construct explanations about why water quality conditions are inside or outside optimal value ranges. So they're learning about pH, dissolved oxygen, nitrogen, fecal coliform, temperature, all of the major parameters that make up the TMDL requirements that ecology and other, our Clean Water Act basically, looks to protect. And so again, that's why I'm amazed. Some of these kids know more than most of the adults in my life know about water quality. So it's really impressive. And then, on top of that, they are coming up with their own design solutions within their communities to improve local water quality. And when you hear an early middle school student, start to problem solve around the challenges we face as a community, it gives you so much hope for the future. And so I kind of go back to Bryant, we're planting seeds, right, for the future. These are the kids who, when they do own homes, are not going to push back on putting a tree in their front yard, are not going to push back on, the inconveniences, so-called inconveniences of fostering a healthy environment. So this is where it all starts. So these are our 2025 results, and this will give you a sense on how much reach this program has into our community. This is Tumwater's stats. So 53 teachers engaged. We were in front of over 1,300 students with 7 schools participating. And again, when you go back to pre-pandemic numbers, those numbers were nowhere near this. So we have really done a good job at building this program into the curriculum and really fostering this relationship with the district. So yeah, it's exciting to see these numbers. I'll go back to Green Congress. This just kind of gives you a little bit of a sense. I wanted to include some photos of how enthusiastic these kids are, how many kids it engages. The cool thing about Green Congress is it takes place at the coming together of all of this takes place at the Evergreen State College. And what I'm going to do is for next year, I am going to send out an invitation to the council members to participate, or at least come in for a visit to observe this, because it literally will change your life and how you see the future generations.
Yes,
Um,
please do. Please
yeah.
do.
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, I've been privileged to do it 3 years in a row now, and just every year over year, I walk away feeling energized and just so hopeful for the future. And that's the goal here, right? We want to empower people to not be disillusioned and depressed about a lot of the things that are happening in the world, and to basically show them that there is a massive community out there, especially in our region, that cares and that knows how to do something, knows how to take action. And so, I'm proud to say one of the reasons I live in this area is because we have a community that is passionate about making a difference, and continuing to embrace that, sustainable future, right? Because we need trees, we need healthy water, we need all these things in order for our communities to remain healthy. But Green Congress has been running for 33 years now, almost as long as Stream Team, which has been running for over 35 years. And, we are an absolutely fortunate group to be able to have these resources and this collaborative engagement taking place here in our communities. And just so you know, GREEN stands for Global Rivers Environmental Education Network. So that's the acronym. So the budget breakdown for this particular contract, again, covers it's an ILA, so it's an interagency local agreement. We do have Olympia, Lacey, Tumwater, and Thurston County all in line to participate in this. Our stake in a total cost, it's a 5-year contract, is a total of $46,352 whereabout. There might be a little bit of variation there in the last dollar amount, but that's what it calculates to. This year's baseline is 8,400 for our part, and they have attached a 5% increase year over year, just based on what's happening with the economy, inflation, and so forth. Now, when you look at the cost breakdown, the investment that we make as a city for what we get is, I mean, almost ridiculous. What South Sound Green does is priceless. And so, it amazes me the value we get out of this relationship. But again, this contract complements our REAP interagency agreement, as well as the partnership work that moves forward with the projects and the overall watershed management objectives that we seek now and into the future. Because a lot of the folks working in the education outreach piece, like myself, are also working on project management, restoration, and habitat improvements. So it's a small community, a tight-knit community, but we're growing, and I think it's a powerful thing. So the recommended action here is to place the interlocal agreement with the cities of Olympia, Lacey, and Thurston County for the implementation of the South Sound Green program on the May 19th, 2026 City Council consent calendar, with a recommendation to approve and authorize the mayor to sign. And I want to thank you for your time and would open it up to any more questions if you have any.
Any questions, fellow council members?
I just want to compliment you on your work. It's amazing. So
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's an honor and a privilege. It really is.
And I'm excited about the opportunity to attend the Evergreen event. When I used to work at the Evergreen State College, and I remember when the kids would all come, and it feels good. So excited. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I'm glad you got to see a little bit of that. Yeah.
I don't know if it was one of their projects back in the day, kids came around, 'cause I still remember in my cul-de-sac that there was, they painted on all the outfalls, the drains, that goes directly. It had to be about, there was a picture of a salmon and about just a warning about what you put into the drain goes right into, protecting the salmon. And it's still, I think the paint is still there, but the kids
Nice.
went around and did the painting, did the stenciling around all the drains. So yeah, one of their
That's
projects.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and those are the kinds of things that leave that lifelong impression, I
Mhm.
mean, those things just never leave you. And
Mhm.
that's what I see here, as I see these kids move through into high school. It's amazing. They remember more than me as far as their interaction. I've had a lot of kids come up to me and go, "Hey, Grant, I remember when we did this and this." I'm like, "Wow, that's really, yeah, it's really
Mhm.
cool." So.
Uh, so Grant, when is that event that we're going to get invited to?
Yeah, so the event takes place. It just took place. I think it was a month ago.
Mhm.
So April, February. Let's see, March actually is end of March is when it took place. So I can imagine it's going to happen the same time next year. So one of the conversations when we did our follow up to the event was to engage with our council members for the next round because it's amazing how many people are attending this event, and yet we really did not see a good representation of our council members, of our
Mhm.
legislators and representatives. So the goal for the team next year is to invite
Right,
more of the leadership in our
right,
communities so that they can really see what's happening
right,
because
right.
it is a powerful thing. It really
Right.
is. Yeah.
So if we can get you in front of a work session next year before it occurs, I think that will work, and then you can have more participation from us when we see that impact, right? So thank you very much, Grant.
You're welcome.
Congratulations on your work to our students, to the
Thank you.
community. As you can see, you're doing great things. If these little people are running up to you and saying, "Hey, Grant, I remember you," I know it just feels awesome. But thank you so
Yeah,
much for this good news,
you're
to
welcome.
me. So fellow council members, we have a recommended action to place the interlocal agreement with the cities of Olympia and Lacey and Thurston County for the implementation of the South Sound Green program on May 19, 2026 City Council consent calendar with a recommendation to approve and authorize the mayor to sign.
So
So
moved.
moved.
Oh, I'll second.
Thank
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And the motion passes.
Great.
Next,
Thank you.
we have the final item on our agenda, which is additional construction funds request with Active Construction, Inc. for the Second Avenue Pedestrian and Bicycle Improvement Project, Transportation and Engineering Department. Who do we have?
Good afternoon, council members. Colby Fletcher.
All right, Colby, take it away.
Colby Fletcher, the construction manager for the Transportation Engineering Department. Just want to apologize in advance if you hear any background noise. We're pretty close quarters downstairs in Public Works Department, so some ongoing meetings and stuff. But yeah, so I guess let's get into it. Obviously here to talk today about the Second Ave Pedestrian and Bicycle Improvements Project, and specifically requesting for additional construction funds. So I'll kind of go through the project purpose, benefits, overview, get it into a VIC map, talk about the status and increase, and kind of open up to questions at the end. So as you're all aware, we're under construction for this project, and the project purpose and benefits. So this project replaces a skewed four-way stop intersection at Second Avenue and Linwood Avenue, replacing it with a modern non-circular roundabout. The idea behind that is improving obviously the traffic flow and congestion, and obviously increasing intersection safety. Roundabouts are proven to reduce the severity of collisions. This project also addresses multimodal access. So throughout the Second Ave corridor with this project, we're providing ADA compliant facilities and also installing some safer pedestrian crossings with some signalized crossings at the roundabout intersection. We're also providing some dedicated bicycle accommodations. So there'll be bike lanes north and south on Second Avenue constructed as part of this project. And the other benefits, we're upgrading aging infrastructure. We've got storm drainage that'll be collecting and treating all the water from this project, and then some water system upgrades as well. Overall, the goal will be improving the overall roadway condition and reliability and supporting school, residential, and local access. Project overview. So physically what we are constructing, again, I'll have a Vic map on the next slide to show you the full extent of it, but we're doing the non-circular roundabout, the peanut shaped roundabout at 2nd Avenue and Linwood Avenue intersection. We're also doing some roadway reconstruction and resurfacing. The full extent of that is from K Street on the south end of the project to B Street at the north end. Along that corridor, we are installing sidewalk, curb ramps, driveway entrances, bulb outs, storm sewer improvements, some water main upgrades, street lighting, a signalized pedestrian signal for the crossings at the intersection, pavement markings and signing, and private utility locations. And as discussed, here's the more or less the extent of the project, the Vic map. So on the left there, we've got the actual design for the intersection, the peanut-shaped roundabout. And to the right there is the extent of the corridor improvements occurring all the way north to B Street. Construction status. So we broke ground on this project on January 21st, 2026, and we're obviously currently underway. Everybody's probably aware of the intersection closure that's ongoing right now, so we can construct the roundabout. Roughly, we're anticipating substantial completion for the project around August, in time for school to get open for the next school season, with some punch list items likely to occur through September. Major work in progress is obviously the intersection demolition. We're ongoing with storm sewer installations and then concrete construction as well, from all the way up from B Street to F Street, or down to H Street right now to the intersection. Concrete being obviously the sidewalks, curb ramps, driveway entrances, curb and gutter. That photo on the right there kind of shows some of the construction that we've completed to date, specifically at C Street, looking north to B Street. You can see the St. James Anglican Church there in the background. So obviously the restoration behind sidewalk still needs to occur, and the paving and stuff, but we always get all the concrete surface done. It's all underground, then it goes to concrete, and then it's final paving at the end with signing and pavement markings. So, why we're here today, construction costs and requesting additional funds. So through construction completed to date, we've had a number of challenges with this project. You know, I guess starting from priority, the existing roadway is definitely in poor condition. We knew that going into this. Unfortunately, we did not realize the full extent of the repairs that were going to be required. But having gone through and done all the storm sewer before we do paving, we realized that the pavement section was not as adequate as we thought it was. So we're going to be we are here hoping to get the approval to do that work. And we've identified the scope of what's required to complete and provide an overall ideal solution for all the paving that will need to occur. And we've also encountered a lot of unknown underground utility conflicts along the way, that being, existing gas lines that weren't located, existing sewer conflicts that we had no as-built records on, and yeah. And then another issue we've encountered as well is unidentified obstruction. So that picture to the right there shows some bedrock excavation. So while we were installing storm sewer, we ran into a significant amount of bedrock, which was outside the original scope of the contract, and added some more work for unidentified work scope that needed to be included to complete the storm drainage improvements. We've also done some storm drainage revisions. So there was a lot of potholing done. There was some potholing done during the design process, and there was a lot of potholing that needed to occur prior to the storm installations. And as a result of doing all that potholing, we discovered there was a lot of conflicts with the utilities, and obviously that resulted in some storm drainage revisions. Another issue we've been faced with is deteriorating utilities, requiring additional modifications. So as we've been installing the storm sewer, we've been realizing that the tie-in connection points were very deteriorated. So we had to extend the limits a little bit to the next structure instead of connecting to pipe. So that obviously resulted in some additional cost increases as well. And then the big one, we as an agency include in all of our capital construction projects asphalt cost price adjustment bid items and fuel cost price adjustment bid items. I think everybody is well aware of the current world events right now. Those prices have significantly increased. So for reference, we bid this project on October 2nd of 2025, and the base fuel cost that we used for the fuel cost adjustment was $4.16. For the current fuel cost for which we for April 26 was $6.12, and that's based on diesel pricing and all that. So on a monthly basis, we assess both asphalt cost price and fuel cost price, and there's several eligible bid items that apply. It's included in our contract provisions. So on a monthly basis, we quantify all of those bid items, and then we put it into a spreadsheet and it outputs the data. For reference, we've done some roadway excavation for the intersection, which is an eligible bid item. Is kind of more so premised around the haul items that obviously use the most fuel, and we will be paying out $4,000 for just the minimal amount of work that we completed in April. So we include these typically for the risk buyout. So when we include these items in our contracts, we're locking into a better price overall, because that risk assumption on the contractors when they're bidding is off the table, so to speak. So for instance, we did actually get credits for this as well. So this goes both ways. So on Trosper Road, we bid that project in September 22 when gas was at an all-time record high at that point in time. And we ended up overall throughout the construction duration taking, I think, a $50,000 plus credit overall for these assessments. But yeah, and then obviously that's discussing the fuel cost price adjustments. The asphalt cost price adjustments, those are dictated by obviously oil as well, and those are assessed through WashDOT. There's a binder reference cost that we on a monthly basis confirm on their website, and we input all the quantities for that as well. So we have not done any asphalt paving yet. The current reference cost is $601, which I know that kind of really means nothing. The record high, which was on October of 22, was $720.
Colby, I
Yeah.
have a question for you.
Yeah.
So with the market volatility, do you think that this 20% or 10% increase is going to cover all of that? Is going to be enough?
Yeah, so that is a very great question. Based on our projections, so we kind of plugged in the record highs. The fuel is a record high. That's kind of an unknown. We don't know exactly where that's going to trend to. We kind of made some really extremely conservative assumptions in some of these quantities that are eligible for bid items, and we do believe the 20% should be able to cover it based on the previous record for asphalt cost price and kind of a projection of diesel being about $7 a gallon. So,
okay. Are you
yes.
going to show us, do you have a number, from so-and-so amount to so-and-so amount to show us?
I do not at this time. I could follow up with that after this meeting.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Fellow council members, would you like to see that?
So I guess just to clarify, you're looking for just the volatility stuff, the cost price adjustment kind of assumptions we've made?
Right.
Okay.
So what are we at now, with the 10%, and then what is that 10% going to look like in total number?
Oh, yeah. I will show that here in a future slide. I won't show the actual oil-based stuff,
Gotcha.
but yeah.
Well, I don't need to see the oil-based stuff. I just need to see what the number look like.
Yep, absolutely. So, okay. So if I think that kind of covers all the construction cost increases we have experienced to date. So I guess here's probably what you're looking for, council member. Okay. Yeah, sorry about that. So construction budget status. So obviously the contract award amount, that right there was $3,545,000 with the Transportation Engineering Department Director's authority within 10%, that gets us up to $3,900,000. And the request for 20% would obviously push us to 4.254. So The engineer's estimate was 3,996,000. We did actually receive bids that were quite a bit lower on this project, competitive market out there. Yeah, to date, we have executed several change orders. Those have adjusted the actual operating amount to 3.68 million, so 3,680,000. And we have a couple of change orders in the queue right now that we're actively negotiating with ACI for work completed to date and work that we're anticipating. So that in tandem with the volatility of prices has obviously made us come to Public Works today to get this request in order just so we can deliver the project. Obviously, if we aren't able to deliver this project, there's going to be, if we don't get this approved, there would be the challenge of obviously having the contractor stop work, and that would increase inherent delays, construction cost increases, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, and I guess with the current cost projections and assumptions, I think we were estimating to finish around 14%, give or take. So it's kind of hard to estimate the actual overall budget right now because we're still in the underground work phase. And underground is where a lot of the issues lie because we just don't know where everything's at until we dig it up. So, but once, go ahead, sorry.
So about a $354,000 difference.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it. Sorry about that, Colby. Go ahead, carry on. Were you done?
No, not yet. Yeah. There's still some more to go. So, so yeah, I guess project budget fund allocation. So this project, as approved and bid, included a $2.1 million grant from WashDOT Safe Routes to School program, and then the remaining balance of the to cover the rest of the project came from Transportation Benefit District, Transportation CFP, and I guess with the overruns and cost overruns for what we're looking to finish the project out would be funded through the Transportation CFP, the Water CFP, if we proceed ahead with some additional water main improvements, and then obviously the TBD as well as applicable. So the paving operations, some of the sidewalk stuff would be applied, and then like any underground challenges comes from the Transportation CFP. So I've included some photos down below. You can kind of see the existing roadway conditions on the left there. You can see how beat this road is. It hasn't been touched in over 30 plus years, it sounds like, aside from some sewer main that went in a while ago. And then a photo on the right there is the intersection demolition that's occurred to date. So I guess with that, yeah, I'd like to open it up to questions. A lot of information there. I'm happy to answer any questions as needed.
Any questions, fellow council members?
No, I do.
Go ahead, Councilmember Swartout.
Thank you, Colby. So just curious, how has it been going over there? I know we've received some emails, and just curious how the traffic part's been going and how the detours are working and everything else like that. Can you give us an update on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, as you're well aware, the intersection's closed. There's a larger detour, so to speak. I could pull up the map real quick, actually, if that would be helpful, kind of for the discussion purpose. Is that okay?
Yeah, thank you.
So obviously, here's I guess I will say, starting out, we made a conscious and extreme effort to make sure we got as much public outreach prior to the closure as possible. So that included utility mailer inserts, that included Facebook posts, additional venues as well through the communications team. So I've been coordinating with the communications team leading up to this. We've got additional PCMS boards and everything in place. It's been surprisingly quiet. There has been some, as far as we were anticipating, a lot of public inquiries related to this, and it hasn't really been as demanding as we anticipated. So long story short, it's been going well. There have been some challenges, if you will, during off hours. So as part of this closure, we committed to the fire department to providing access during non-working hours. So that access is being maintained by means of having a barricade in place and allowing them to move it by one person so they can maintain the response times going south on 2nd Avenue or access to Capitol Boulevard. So we've caught wind that it sounds like there might be some people during off hours going through the project site, and we're actively trying to figure out a solution to address that. So
Yeah.
knowing we have to maintain that access for fire is kind of the condition we're trying to satisfy. And yeah, unfortunately, you know, there's road closed signs. It's clearly delineated that it's roads closed, and it sounds like there might be some people still just disobeying that. But all in all, during construction hours, it hasn't been a problem. There was a high-speed chase that occurred through the work zone last Thursday morning.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it's been going well. I think everybody's kind of figured out the detour, and it's really not that inconvenient. It's kind of,
Mhm.
you know, going up around Lake Park Drive through Trosper, and then also Capitol to Custer down Second. So,
Mhm.
yeah, it's been surprisingly well. So,
Good to hear.
and yeah, we're maintaining pedestrian access through the work zone as well. So that includes like the connection from Capitol Boulevard through Linwood with a crushed rock path, and bicyclists, you know, are obviously intended to dismount and walk those pedestrian access paths as well. So if they're not comfortable traversing the overall traffic detour route. So
Okay. Yeah, it gets kind of weird. Well, it's always kind of interesting intersection anyway. The one there at Fred Meyer, and you know that whole intersection gets because the other Saturday it just gets backed up when you're trying to go right to the freeway. So I know with our lights and everything trying to time, it gets oddly backed up for whatever
yeah.
reason. Yeah.
Yeah, and here's a specific exhibit. I'm assuming y'all still can see my screen here.
Mhm.
So here's a specific exhibit of kind of where the local traffic access to maintain, you know, obviously the residents. So
Mhm.
right here, we've got two residences that we're trying to maintain access. So people, they can still turn into here and access their driveways. It's just the physical closure has the actual barricades and stuff right at that cross-hatched area for the true intersection closure. So, and obviously trying to maintain the fire. So here's T2 Fire Station right here where my cursor is, obviously maintaining this access on South 2nd and this direct access to Capitol
Mhm.
Boulevard. So for everything north of here in this area, the
Mhm.
fire is just going straight across on 5th Avenue and responding as needed. So yeah, we're actively trying to work through the challenge of that, and identifying a simple or a best solution to address
Mhm.
such. So
Yeah. Yeah. We do have a lot of streets. There's a lot of other streets. So yeah.
Great question, Councilmember Swarthout. So, Colby, when does it look like this is going to be complete?
The overall project or the
Yeah, when can we drive through again, and I won't have to go all the way around?
yeah, so as I kind of alluded to earlier, we're anticipating substantial completion for the project in August 2026.
August 2026. Okay.
But that the actual roundabout, so they're working on the roundabout construction right now.
Mhm.
And we're anticipating the roundabout to be opened. I think their schedule showed July 16th. And then we're going to work on the corridor improvements from the intersection to the north end.
Okay.
So the intersection, when we're doing that in coordination with Intercity Transit and their detour routes, we had to make sure that the intersection closure was no longer more so they could have access to their routes up 7th Avenue. We couldn't close it all down at once, obviously. So the intersection will be opened. We'll complete the corridor improvements up 2nd Avenue, and then we will need to close the intersection one more time for permanent striping. So pavement markings require cure time on the new asphalt in order for them to successfully be installed. So there will be probably a 1 or 2 day, probably just daytime only. We have yet to vet that with our contractor, what their approach is going to be, but we're trying to minimize that impact as much as possible.
Great update. Thank you,
So,
Colby.
yep.
Excellent. Councilmember Van Holtz, any questions?
I don't have any questions.
Okay, with that, we have a recommended action to increase the change order authority provided to the Transportation and Engineering Director under Tumwater Municipal Code 2.14.060 from 10% to 20% for the 2nd Avenue pedestrian and bicycle improvement projects and placed on the May 19, 2026 City Council consent calendar.
So moved.
Second,
All in favor, say aye.
I
Aye. Okay, in closing, do we have any additional and future items? Since there are none, mission complete. I call the meeting adjourned.
Thank
Right,
you.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
council
everyone.
members.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Okay.